The combination of an adventure and fantasy tends to be one of the most exciting forms of storytelling anime has to offer. The concept of a brand new world of so much unknown already gets people on board, but it's the characters, the world building, and the suspense within the journey that really gets the viewer sold. These days, when you hear of a long adventure, you tend to either think about One Piece or the recently concluded Dragon Quest anime. With One Piece going on for 20 plus years now, however, there hasn't been many series to really rival it in terms of its length or various storytelling elements at that. Some may look towards Berserk and Tower of God, especially with the magnitude of world building, but as I have not read either, I cannot fully say. I can, however, vouch for Akihito Sakushi's Made in Abyss. As many of you have known for a while now, I have been going back and watching animes I've slept on one by one. Gridman and Dynazenon being one of the previous conclusions, and as of last week comes Made in Abyss. Funny enough, when I announced on Twitter that I was starting this series, the first thing people told me was good luck, and I could have already imagined what that had meant, but even bracing for it, I still wasn't ready. In a world where one's life can be enhanced or ended within the fissure known as the Abyss, a story of a young girl named Riko and a robotic boy named Reg who lost his memories comes together. The introduction of this show was really strong in the sense that there is already this ginormous and mysterious entity in front of you that yields so much of the unknown. The Cave Raider system being the perfect foundation for all future confrontations, as each raider has a color-coded whistle that highlights one's expertise and knowledge. The ranking of one's whistle can be improved based on the objects known as relics retrieved from the Abyss, which can serve various different functions depending on how it is used or its originated purpose. The drive of the story having some pretty strong leads, with Riko's mother not only being one of the highest ranking cave raiders known as a White Whistle, but also her presumably waiting for Riko to come to find her at the bottom of the Abyss. As for Reg's case, he wanted to know what his purpose is and why he was created, in which both these two can find the things they need at the bottom of the Abyss. Both seasons of the anime and the movie taught me valuable lessons when it came to this journey. What led me to the first one was the entire showcase of what it meant to transcend the Abyss in season 1. The various curses of the Abyss hitting Riko left me reeling, as these kids were constantly put through various trials for their survival. Whether it was the hunt for food or fighting off the various different creatures within the layers of the Abyss, there was never a dull moment. The survivability aspect of the show was never not present, and the moment you let your guard down could spell the end of your life. Ozen ended up being one of my favorite characters from season 1 because of how painfully honest they were with Reg and Riko. Reg falling unconscious because of his incinerator could lead to Riko's death, and even Riko herself had a naive mentality about pressing onward. A reality check that was much needed for these two, and it's something I can appreciate because there probably won't be many people down the line to care for these two like she did. Now, of course, I heard about a certain episode down the line within this season that I would not be prepared for, and looking back at it, the community was absolutely right. Furthermore, I feel like it was 2 episodes honestly that really made season 1 an exceptional first season. The first being episode 10, with Reg having to deal with Riko's injury delivered from a beast in the 4th layer. One of the things you have to keep in mind is that our main characters are both children, pretty much tackling a journey only meant for adults if anything. The presentation of pain and injuries within this show have been constantly unsettling and equally realistic considering the setting they are in. Seeing the blood come from Riko's eyes, the sound of broken bones, and the voice acting by Miyu Tomita managed to bring about one of the most hellish episodes of the series yet. It set a pretty high bar for how much worse these painful moments can get down the line, and yet that bar was set even higher within the same season. The introduction of Nanachi was our duo's saving grace. By lending Reg their expertise, we were able to save Riko, but at the same time, we were also presented with one of the most depressing and emotionally devastating backstories I have seen in a long time, which also plays directly into the next arc. As established, each layer of the Abyss has a curse that applies different effects to the body, mind, and even the soul. I don't think there could have been anything that could have prepared me for Nanachi's backstory within the 6th layer and the White Whistle Bondred. While Ozen did warn the audience about how messed up some of these white whistles could be, I could not have imagined child experimentation being on the list. The 6th layer leads to the lack of your humanity if not traversed carefully. The only way to find a way past it was through all sorts of tests. Tests that Nanachi and her friend Miti was lured into. There is something about characters begging to God with all their might to protect somebody or something that really speaks to me. It evokes the emotion of powerlessness, which is common amongst humanity because there are some things that are out of your control in life and all you can do is hope and pray. The irony of losing your own humanity and expressing one of the most humane emotions in the same sequence left me speechless. For a while, I heard about Bondred and how much of a good antagonist he was, and his introduction rightfully lived up to the commotion. To have that mental grip over Nanachi and ignore all forms of humanity for the sake of logic can truly bring out the terror within an antagonist. It was something that was easily achievable with Bondred with flying colors. While Nanachi was lucky enough to maintain humanity though in a different body, we cannot say the same for Miti, who was her light in this nightmarish world. Both of them becoming the entities known known as hollows. At this point, I'm fighting the tears and thinking to myself, how much more painful could this get? The answer, of course, was right around the corner with season 1's finale. There is nothing more painful than watching somebody suffer than being unable to end their suffering. The effects of the sixth layer screwed with Miti so bad, Nanachi was unable to kill her. She was immortal, a concept of life that can only be undone by a power that can break the natural order of things. Something that Reg was able to do with the power of his incinerator, in which Nanachi asked him to deliver the blow that would set Miti free. In one of the most emotional directions for a finale, and Nanachi's cries in the background, Miti was finally laid to rest. Season 1 taught me the lesson that the abyss is unforgiving. Regardless of your dreams and ambitions, just taking a couple meters downward will not be inviting. You are stepping into the place where everything and anything will be tested, and that plays directly into the movie Dawn of the Deep Soul. As if season 1 could have not been any worse trauma-wise, what better way for our duo, now trio, to continue their journey than to go right to Bondred's territory in order to continue their journey. This movie took all the cruel elements and established context about the Sovereign of Dawn and made them more present than ever. Reg getting experimented on while being awake in the showcase of his painful experience. Riko having to get hit with the effects of a curse again. Nanachi struggling to maintain her will to push on, but nothing would have prepared me to witness what the result of Bondred's adopted daughter Prushka would turn out to be. What makes her storyline so unsettling is that once again this is a child. One that was brought to the sixth layer, delivered mental instability, experimented on time and time again, and yet she continued to love her father. That love being the catalyst for Bondred to harvest her very life as a source of power. Just like Miti praying for Nanachi's safety ended up being a source of power, Prushka's journey to help her father served as one as well. The result being her turn into a cartridge of power for our antagonist and a lifestone for Riko. A storyline that can only be described as tragic. Now mind you, this same movie also introduced more mystique around Reg and his origin, leading into one of the most intense Sakuga fights that I was not expecting for this series. What may lie at the end of Reg's journey is sure to be mind-blowing, especially with the vision of Riko's mom being locked away behind the memory loss as well. The conclusion of the second movie and the realization of what happened to Prushka led me to my second lesson, being that the abyss is a place where morals go to die. You cannot expect to traverse the abyss and come out completely the same, nor can you expect anyone else to be. In some situations, you may have to kill people or even use their very life as a way to press forward. In others, you will do what you must to achieve a goal by any means necessary. This isn't a tale of heroes, as cave raiders each have their own ambitions that may conflict with each other from time to time. For our main cast, they are presently more on the good side of handling things because they are children, but that will not be the case for the rest who they may encounter, which leads into my last lesson in my journey into season 2. Season 2 is definitely a lot to say the least. We had the introduction of a whole new set of characters that told their tale to set the precedent for what's to come. Their tale being told alongside our trio's journey eventually led to a sync of events, and man does this season have a lot of baggage. The storyline of Irumyuui and Vueko in one word is just fucked. If you were to tell me that it gets more painful with this show, I would not doubt you, because I definitely learned my lesson with the movie. But to see how a child's wish to become a mother turn into a grotesque form of salvation was something that yet again left me speechless. Wazukin's line of "that child will become our salvation" is something that will forever continue to send chills down my spine when knowing the full context. It goes back to what I said about doing what you have to do in order to meet a goal, and in this case, it was sacrificing the children born from Irumyuui in order to survive. Side note, I had terrible luck with this series in terms of eating dinner and binging this show, because each time I did, I damn near lost my appetite. The result of Irumyuui ended up being a new home for these adventurers, but not without a form of exchange. As these adventurers ate Irumyui's children, they decided to sacrifice their human forms as a way of forgiveness, and in doing so, mutated into a form Apollo. Vueko, however, being imprisoned in a location closest to Irumyuui in a form of an internal chamber for the child who was the closest thing Irumyuui had for a mother. All of this was the result of everyone's combined guilt, but it was not enough for the grieving Irumyuui who watched her children be born, die, and killed over and over again. That rage transferred within the birth of Faputa, the one child that was able to truly be born from Irumyuui and sought out revenge against those who ate her siblings. She was a being that not only knew Reg before he lost his memories, but had the strength to go toe-to-toe with him as well. Narratively, there's a lot happening within this arc, and I cannot truly begin to get into my thoughts without rambling for almost hours on end, but there is something I do want to specifically talk about. The village born from Irumyuui was very much alive as much as her will within Faputa was. The value system being the enforcer of balance, and begs the question of what would you sacrifice to obtain your desires? A question that that plays into the storyline from Nanachi this time around and Faputa towards the end of it. The conclusion of this arc was all about bringing this tale of revenge and sorrow to an end. The Child of Rage fulfilled her very reason to live and set her mother free at the same time, but it wasn't some easy task. Blood was spilled, lives were taken, but it all comes full circle, originating from the Child of Salvation. Season 2 led me to my last lesson, being that the Abyss is very much alive. No matter what dwells within it, born from it, or created within it, this journey has been within a very much alive world, and it's impressive to say the least. The curses being the icing on the cake for how different each layer is, and that the Abyss itself can continue to change. This series is not your typical end goal journey where the cliches or plot armor make themselves known throughout. The consequences are looming at every corner. The pain it can deliver can be visually excruciating to watch, and I don't think I have seen something more painful since ReZero, and yet tells such an amazing story about a journey one cannot return from. Yet again, this is another show that I'm glad I came back to watch. Kevin Pinkin does an absolutely amazing job with the OSTs, with bringing the atmosphere of almost any setting or situation to life, and the story is fantastic on its own. This is a show that you just have to be there for, and it's my hope that people will stay on board for the anime's future and continue to support the manga especially. My only concern would be sticking the landing. There is a lot weighing on what may lie at the end of the Abyss, and it's gotten to the point where it absolutely must successfully conclude, otherwise there will be some discourse from my end. For the time being, I recommend this series to anyone who has not watched it and join along on the journey of what lies at the bottom of the Abyss. That's pretty much it from me though. As always, thank you for watching, and if you have watched Made in Abyss, then feel free to let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Stay warm out there, and I will catch you guys in the next video.